Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pools on social media.
Hello everyone. On today's episode, we celebrate our 100th episode.
Welcome to the show. Grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
Wow, what an accomplishment. Congratulations, Jen.
Congrats, David.
Yes,
we
yes.
did this together.
We are so happy. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to reflect on, and what a journey it has been. As you can see, we're in celebration mode today, so we're actually going to get started with some of the libations that we have procured. We have this bottle of wine. It's a sparkling wine that we picked up at Hi-Fi Wine, located in downtown Merced. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the episode, but we did have our first in-person meetup with the community, and this is the wine that we chose to share. So it is called the Nola Grace. It's from Nola Grace Cellars, and the name of the wine is... Does it have a name?
Yeah. California, it's in the back right here.
Yes.
California Pinot Grigio carbonated wine. So originally we were drawn to it because of this beautiful artwork, which we will show up close. But I was like, oh my God, we have the zodiacal wheel. We have all of these wonderful air signs and star signs and all of these things. So yeah, we absolutely need this wine.
Yes. And it tastes delicious.
And it tasted delicious. So much that one of the people that went to our in-person meetup took a bottle to go.
Yeah.
So thank you so much to Hi-Fi Wine for having some awesome wines. They curate all of their wines from the West Coast, and they try to focus on small production wineries. So really like intentional craft, and I love it. Hi-Fi Wine is such a beautiful place. They do private events and semi-private events. They're super affordable. They do all sorts of wonderful like vinyl nights. They even have like bring your own vinyl night. Sometimes they do sangria. And also if you're a non-alcoholic person, they also have a lot of good non-alcoholic options. Sometimes I don't want something alcoholic if I'm the one driving myself. Sometimes I do, but I love that I can go there with all of my friends, whether they're sober or they enjoy drinking wine.
And to be very clear, this does have alcohol, and we are celebrating. So
we are celebrating, yes. So thank you so much to Tracy, the owner of Hi-Fi Wine, for just curating such a beautiful space. One of the things that I remember when we first moved to Merced was that we saw Hi-Fi Wine, and it was one of the few places that had a pride flag up, and Tracy has had such a commitment to inclusivity and belonging in Merced. And you know, she was brave when sometimes the world said like don't be inclusive, and she continues to do so. So thank you so much for creating such a beautiful space. Please check out Hi-Fi Wine if you haven't, and soon we're gonna go to a Halloween birthday party there, so we are very excited.
Yes 100 episodes. Wow. It sounds cliche. I never thought we would get here. I think when we started, the vision was very different to where we are now, in the most wonderful way. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary, and we did an episode on that. And that was, even at that time, we were still growing. We had just started doing video format, and there was a lot to reflect on there. Our 2nd year anniversary just sneaked in. That was in September, and now we're celebrating 100 episodes. It's like I'm almost speechless in a sense, because what do you say about that? What do you say about such a milestone?
Yeah, I mean, when we started this, it was really a passion project. We said we're not gonna hyper focus on, being the top 1% of podcasts. Like, we're just gonna do it because we love it. And if we ever make it big, like, we're gonna make a promise on this day, which was, I want to say September 20th, 2023. that we won't sell out and we'll stay true to ourselves.
Yes.
And I feel
Well, to be fair, that was more of your promise. I will sell out at any point.
but we agreed that this has to be something that we're passionate about and that we love doing, and I feel like we do. Our first episode, I remember I was so nervous to speak, and I remember that I also didn't want to be like seen or perceived, just heard. So because of that, we started as audio only. And then I don't remember what episode we transitioned to. I should have checked before this, but eventually we said, you know what, we're going to take a chance.
I think it was one of the signs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of the signs.
We're going to take a chance and we are going to convert to an audio video format. And that's when I really had to get over the fear of being seen, because when I started, it's like I'm passionate, knowledgeable, and ethical around what I do and what I believe, but I'm scared of people like coming for me, saying that I'm a witch, saying that I'm evil, or that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I very quickly had to get over that. And in the true name of Jen Explains, I am kind of happy that we named it that, because in the beginning, I knew that this podcast was going to be basically me explaining concepts to David and to all of you.
In a very palatable way, right?
Yes.
I think there are plenty of podcasts out there that do a wonderful job of like diving into a subject and having like those minute details that really share like, you know, a story or a topic. And we have listened to podcasts, you know, to help us with some of our topics, to help understand. And I think that's great. But what I love about how we do it specifically is that, you know, it's palatable to everyone, from experts to people who don't know about a subject and people who just want to learn. And we've received a lot of commentary as well as good feedback with our rapport. The big one is like how we're very respectful of each other. I think there's a lot of skepticism when it comes to two people who have very different viewpoints, especially on big things like spirituality, beliefs, things of that nature. Jen and I align on a lot. We align in our religious beliefs. We align in our political beliefs. We align in our moral causes. But this is one part of our relationship that we have given ourselves the liberty to explore and really play with. And it's been wonderful. When we started, you know, the first thing we told ourselves was, we have these conversations outside of the podcast. Well, now we do save all our conversations for the podcast, right? We won't go into it super deep, and we'll wait to record it. But before then, we would have these types of conversations, these, you know, live conversations, talking about huge topics, things that, you know, those topics that keep you up at night. And when we started the podcast, we said, do we have just good rapport? Do we like talking to each other? Because I think a lot of people are able to talk well and speak to each other. But really, what was the next step for us? Will this translate across a medium of a podcast? Will people really be receptive to it? Is it us just thinking that, hey, we have good conversations? And I think to answer that question 100 episodes later, I absolutely think that we do, and it's been such a fulfilling journey with everything that we've done and everything that we've accomplished. And I look back and reflect, and time is so subjective. It feels, and I know this sounds very like cliche, but it feels like just yesterday we were recording our first episode. And we've mentioned this before, but we did our first episode on our dinner table. We went down to Walmart and purchased these very inexpensive microphones, and, you know, we just went for it. And the first couple of episodes, there were big learning curves, and, you know, as we grow and we try to polish our product, we're learning every day. Jen is obviously the star of the show, and she's more of the face, and, you know, her knowledge base is incredible. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens that is very fulfilling for me, right? It lets me use my creativity, my problem solving. I get to play with all these wonderful tools and learn about technology and video editing. And I think that's what we were missing. We were just talking about that before we recorded today, where if we didn't have this, I think both our minds would be very noisy with like, what's the next thing we're doing? Why aren't we doing enough? Like, especially our generation's millennials, I feel like you have to have like your 9 to 5, your hobby, and then your hobby that like makes you money.
Yeah.
And you know, this has just been the perfect outlet, right? I can't remember the last time, and I'm talking about now years, where we've been like, what are we doing today? Or like, I'm bored. Like, if anything,
Boredom does not exist in our world.
In our household, boredom does not exist. Like, there's always something to do. There's always something to polish. And, you know, it's been an incredible journey, so.
But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. And like you said, I'm so happy that we started, even though it wasn't perfect. Because like you said, we started September 2023. It feels like just yesterday, and we're already 2 years later. And so often, and I'm guilty of this too, we think like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. And time doesn't stop for anybody. So I'm so glad that like 2 years later, we have like the 2 years, the 100 episodes of experience and community that we've built, to where it's like, I'm so glad I started yesterday.
Yes.
And also, I feel like this podcast has really helped me be comfortable and come into my own. Again, I always knew about the integrity of what I had to bring, but I wasn't sure if other people would see like the value in it, for example. I thought at first, like, I was very hard on myself. I thought that I had to be like National Geographic or History Channel, like super in-depth facts. And eventually, I think like halfway through, I realized like, no, this is me explaining my point of view to you all. Like, if you wanted that like deep, perfect history, like, yeah, you would go watch the History Channel. I feel like where I really felt this recently was the Stevie Nicks episode, because it's like, the way that we explain Stevie Nicks, it's from two Latino points of view that discovered Stevie Nicks later in life. And that is like a unique perspective that is not often shared, of like people being like, I don't know everything about Stevie Nicks. But like, it's relatable, at least to a lot of our audience.
Yeah, and I do remember those conversations, and kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, I feel like sometimes fear is the roadblock that prevents us from doing things. We're a good balance. You're very plan ahead heavy, and I'm very like, let's get off the ground. And I think that creates a great like dichotomy of us being able to get stuff done. I do remember before you started, you're like, well, I'm not an expert in anything and everything, and what if I don't know a concept? And I was like, well, it's your perspective, right? It's the name of the podcast, but it really just encompasses us both learning. You know, you do your research and you explain it, and then I come in and just give my perspective, or I'm receptive to what you're saying. And sometimes those people who plan, or don't ever take that first step can be held back. And then the people who are very impulsive, like me, and I'm guessing that's my Sagittarius rising.
Yeah.
We'll be like, fuck it, like, let's just do it. Let's plan ahead. I mean, let's not plan ahead. Let's just run with it. And sometimes that can be not good either, because you're like, oh, I missed steps A, B, and I'm already trying to go to like D. So it's a perfect balance of like the people who plan, but the people who also get the ball rolling, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also feel like I've seen growth in you from this podcast, to where you can articulate a little bit more about like what you believe, where you'll meet or like have middle ground with people, and what you absolutely like do not believe. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you said you were going to talk about this on the podcast, so I'm not afraid to do it. But recently he got into a spiritual debate with our gardener, and we had to fire him because he was like calling us evil and problematic on our property. So we're not going to tolerate that. But do you want to share the story?
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm very respectful. I never go around like preaching or telling people, you know, that their beliefs are stupid. Yeah, I know I've made a few jokes here on the podcast, specifically against the Catholic Church, so I will own that. But that's more kind of tongue in cheek. But yeah, I mean, we had a person who was supporting us with our gardening needs, and I asked them, you know, if they could come later, because we needed to put up our Halloween decorations, and he took the opportunity to try to educate me on the history of Halloween and if I knew what that was about and if I understood like the significance of like the Satanism behind it. And I just felt very emboldened in that moment, because I was like, hey, yes, I do know the history of Halloween.
It was an episode.
Yes, it was an episode. And B, I just, that's one thing that I respect about you and I respect about us is that we don't really push our narrative or push our beliefs. We have a platform and that's great, but y'all come and find us, right? And we're open to having respectful discussions on our podcast. But when somebody's coming, you know, into your sanctum and is coming into
on our property that we pay a mortgage and property taxes on,
and to your world, and then they start getting preachy, I think at that point it is fair to kind of, you know, stand for yourself and stand for your beliefs. So we went back and forth. I debated a lot of the hypocrisies of Christianity and the church, and you know, a lot of the knowledge base I did know, but I think just having this platform where we're talking, educating ourselves, learning, exploring, it really provided a different perspective in a debate. So I did shake his hand and I said, I wish you the best, you know, no hard feelings. But don't
come back.
Yeah, I just didn't want somebody on my property who was antagonizing like our beliefs or lack of beliefs. So
I also had a similar experience recently where I was getting over my fear of being seen, and I was like, okay, universe, the sign that I am breaking out of my supportive echo chamber and I am on the right path and being visible to new people is my first hater. That's how I'm gonna take it. And we had someone repost our mirror flyer and talk about how, you know, what we were doing was evil and we were trying to trick people and recruit them to Satanism. And I normally, like me from 2 years ago, would have cried and been like, oh my God. But me now, I laughed. I was like, thank you, universe. That's the sign that I needed. I am visible. I am out there and I am on the right path. So now when you laugh and you're like, what haters do you have out there? We have one, actually two. But you know what? It's all good. Yeah. We are now standing in our authenticity and we are not afraid.
Yeah. That's actually a really good segue into something I wanted to touch on is, you know, what milestones have we hit in the last 100 episodes? To me, some highlights include moving from our kitchen table to a proper studio.
And between that, we opened a business.
To open said
studio.
And a huge shout out to Luna. They are renting the space to us. They are wonderful, accommodating, I don't say landlords, but proprietors of this property.
Yeah.
They're great. And what's really nice is that they give the platform to creators. They have a beautiful store downtown where they themselves curate a lot of items. They do vintage shopping, and then they have different vendors. And we were very fortunate to cross into their hemisphere, and they allowed us the opportunity to rent a space, and it has been the most beautiful symbiotic relationship, I think, business-wise.
Yes, I appreciate Luna, Odalis, and Angela so much, and their partners, because their partners also support the store.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you so much. It's been so wonderful to be your tenant, your partner, your downtown neighbor.
And friend. They're super
ultimately.
Friendly. We love spending time with them, just, you know, walking in, saying hi. They always have a beautiful smile and are always so warm and welcoming. So thank you so much, Luna. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the milestones, right? Moving into this space. The other milestone for me that is I would like to highlight is when we took the chance on doing the astrology signs, all 12 of them. Sometimes the very obvious things slap you, like they're right in front of you, and then like they almost slap you in the face of like, you know, it's so obvious, why haven't you done this? And that has been wildly successful. You know, human beings love knowing about themselves and learning about themselves. And it's really nice now that we have a catalog, right? So if we meet somebody in real life who's like, well, tell me about your podcast, or like, is there any episodes you recommend? A, yes, we have a huge catalog. We have 100 episodes. And B, we have everybody's astrological sign. So you can go and find your episode. And, you know, off the top of my head, you can see why Genesis does not like Tauruses.
No, it's only male. Straight male Tauruses. Yeah.
And you can see why I love Libras, and just learn more about, you know, what we've done. Another great milestone has been our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to jump around too much, but you know, we did have a segment called the Unhinged episodes, and those were great. Those were a little more behind the scenes, but just talk about growth, right? We've gone through cycles already. We've started projects and have sunset projects, and that was one of them. They were fun. They're all still back catalogs, so if you want to join our Patreon for as little as $4 a month, you can go ahead and check those out. But you know, it's really interesting being accountable to yourself. Right?
I was gonna say, the reason why we ended the Unhinged episodes is because I feel like we bring enough of us here that it's like, what can we talk about that we haven't already said on the main podcast? But I love that because it shows like, yeah, we're not holding back. So
yeah, no, excellent. We have to audit ourselves and have to, again, hold ourselves to the standards that we make. And with that Unhinged series, it did start feeling more like a I don't know, what would you say, like home, like,
yeah, like I was scrambling for topics. It's like,
Yeah.
what haven't I already talked about in the podcast that I can talk about now? And it's like, yeah, we didn't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
So
it was stressing us out.
Yeah,
Low-key,
yeah.
that's what it was. And it shouldn't have been. So that was another rule that we set for ourselves. Everything we do on this podcast, we do with intentionality, and we do with our best attitude moving forward. So that was definitely one of the requirements for us, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another milestone that I thought was very significant for us was we did our first mobile interview with Zia from Infinity Coven.
actually, our first mobile was astrocartography. We did it on the cruise ship.
That's so true, but
Yeah.
that one was not a video one.
It wasn't.
That was just audio, but that was our first mobile one.
Yeah, but our first
Yeah.
mobile video was with Zia, yes.
With Zia in San Francisco, and we learned a lot as far as, like, again, the production side of it. We learned a lot about being organized, and it was such a wonderful experience.
Yeah. And I think a big milestone too was including guests, like having guests, both Mystic Maintenance and Experience Exchange. It's so lovely to build this community. And now it's like, yeah, I want to showcase like amazing people doing amazing things, or just people that are curious and want to know more about themselves. So it went from just us talking to the community. And I love that. I love that evolution.
And I will say, for me, that's been one of the most impactful things from this podcast. That's been such a pleasant surprise that I did not think. I think it wasn't even on my radar, right? I was like, you and I just have enough to talk about, but we want to. First off, I want to thank all the guests who have come on the podcast. Thank you so much. It means a lot, right? From your time to your vulnerability, to trusting us to tell your story. That's been an added responsibility that, you know, before we did guests, I was like, well, you know, if it goes well or doesn't go well, it doesn't matter. It's just our content. But when we did get guests, it added such a layer of depth to our podcast. And that was an unexpected surprise. We've had people be very vulnerable on here. We've had people share parts of their life and their story that they've never told anybody, but felt comfortable enough to let us be the liaisons to their story. And I feel such a great joy and responsibility to that. And I'm just kind of curious kind of where you sit with that.
Yeah, I really appreciate people taking the time to share like their experience, their lives, like you said, being vulnerable, because it is scary. Everyone, minus I would say one person, was afraid of the camera and was like, oh my God. And I realized through that everybody has imposter syndrome. Like everybody
I
is
don't,
like,
but-
well, you're the exception, my love. But yeah, everyone has been so humble, even though they're doing amazing things. They're like, is my story worth telling? Literally everybody has said that, like, is my story worth telling? And it's like, yes, of course. So I love to know that, like, we're all in it together. We all have imposter syndrome in one way or another. But honestly, yeah. It's so wonderful to be able to collect these stories.
And speaking about milestones, one of the other big milestones is that now we have ad break. So we'll see you right after this ad break.
Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind-the-scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying, or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCalo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencalo.com. All right, now back to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. During the ad break, I had some wine, and I just wanted to describe it to you if you ever wanted to go buy a bottle or get a glass, specifically of this Nolo Grace wine. It's very nice and refreshing. I know that like cold wine, depending on the wine, can be a little bit of a taboo, but because this is a carbonated wine, it's supposed to be enjoyed cold, and I love carbonated things. And it's also Pinot Grigio, so it tastes very like refreshing, but it still has a little bit of that mouthfeel that I like, that's similar in my opinion to like Zinfandels. I like them a little bit more on the like dry acidic side.
I'm laughing a little bit because when I first met Genesis, or when I first introduced Genesis to wine, I don't think she ever would have imagined her describing a wine like that.
Nope.
I took her wine tasting in the beautiful Central Coast, and to my embarrassment, the wine tender poured some wine for her, and she's just like, shot? And I was like, oh my God.
That's how we do it in LA, baby.
But yeah, no, great description. I agree with everything you say, so that's good job, good progression.
Thank you.
But yeah, 100 episodes in, and 100 more hopefully, and even 100 after that. I don't see us stopping anytime soon. We also did have a very interesting experience a few months ago. We posted something on our Instagram regarding what our stance is with the immigration status in this country, or the immigration raids and stuff in this country. And when we posted that, we made a post that kind of almost sounded like we had some big news coming, and it read like we were maybe going to stop the podcast, and that was not the case at all. We had a few comments that said like, oh my gosh, you gave me a heart attack. I thought that was you announcing that the end of the podcast. And if everything allows, and to pun intended, if the stars align, we'll be here as long as we're permitted to.
Yes, absolutely. And something else that I wanted to share, which I'm excited. The day after this podcast releases, we are going to be in the Merced County Times. Yes.
Yes.
And that was a big milestone for me that I was afraid of. Again, fear of being seen. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go into the paper. I don't know about that. But you know what? Shout out to the UC Merced Small Business Development Center, because our consultant mentor Susan Walsh was like, you need to put yourself out there. You're doing amazing things and people need to know, and you're gonna have more fans than haters, so what are you waiting for? And eventually I said, you're right, I'll do it close to our 100th episode. So yeah, I'm so excited. We're gonna go bright and early to try to find some newspapers and have one framed in the office.
Yes. Yeah, no, we've
And shout out to Yanira for doing a great job telling our story.
Yes. Yeah, we've done a lot. We've learned a lot, and to me, that's one of the best parts about this experience is the learning, the subject matter, and I feel like there's been so many episodes where I've been like, I didn't know that. Recently with our Spotlight series, again, another great idea. It's cool learning about these prolific figures and understanding, their life, their story, and how it all kind of churned out. So, I think learning has been another highlight of that. So, speaking of episodes, I did want to talk about, we have a huge catalog. What have been, maybe we'll do like top 5 episodes. Go ahead and start. Let me know, why those episodes are special to you or what resonated, and I'll share mine.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Millennial Saint, because it was the first time that I was finally able to like fully flesh out my bridging my past with my present, with my Catholic roots, and also the things that I love to talk about, which is general spirituality, nerding out about history and spiritual procedure. So to me, that one was big. I would also say our first guest, which was Dom from Dom's Bomb Popcorn, taking a chance on us being our first guest and being like, wow, we can do this. We can tell a person's story. So that was very exciting. I would also say our astrocartography episode, because
that was a fun one.
Yeah. Well, that's also where we learned the worst people can say is no. And I was really shy to ask the cruise director to do our intro, but David was like, just do it. It'll be fine. And he did. And so now if you listen to that episode, you'll hear him do our intro, which is so special. And then I would say number 4 for me, I can't choose between all the zodiac signs. I love all the zodiac signs.
Yeah.
They're all great. And then I would say number 5, probably Star Talk, when we fully agreed we're not going to change each other's mind, but we're going to try to do our best to explain our perspective, which I'm never going to convert David to being an astrology believer, and I wouldn't want him to try to pressure me to not believe in anything. So I think that one really showcased our duality and really the essence of this show.
Yeah, that's those. I think those are really good ones. My top 5 in no particular order. I'll kind of start with that one too. I think Star Talk is one of my favorite ones that we've done. That one was set up very unique. That one had a lot of behind the scenes that went into it. It had a lot of why are we putting this episode out? What can people take away from it? Because Jen said, it wasn't her explaining really anything in the sense of the typical types of episodes that we explained. The format was a little different, but it really did lend us to have an open conversation. And I think it gave our audience the opportunity to see kind of how our minds work separately and independently of one another, but how they can come together. Mm-hmm. We've become really good friends with the lovely Jamie, and she was like, oh my gosh, basically I wanted to reach out to you during the episode and kind of let you know my thoughts. And we had a lot of great feedback in the sense of it was a good episode. I think that was one of my favorites. And then going back kind of to our archives, and I do know I mentioned this during our 1-year anniversary, the butterfly effect. I really, really love that episode. I think, and it's probably the Leo in me, but I felt like I came across as very knowledgeable in the subject, and it was a really cool concept to explore, especially from like your perspective. And one thing I'm noticing, again, probably my Leo, I don't know if people can tell, but there are some subjects that I want to talk about. It's few and far between, but sometimes I'll be like, this is the one I want to do. So those two have been some that I wanted to do and talk about. I also really enjoy the things where we talk about our culture. So we did like a Day of the Dead one. I thought that was a really interesting one where we were able to really dive into the history of Day of the Dead. And, you know, like you mentioned, being of like Latino background, it's cool exploring your roots and learning. I also really enjoyed Juan's episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He was a great guest.
He is so funny and he's so charming. And I don't think he was nervous. He kind of came in.
That's true.
Yeah, he was like full blown, like, let's do this. And his energy came across our camera and our recording. And it was a pleasure to kind of listen to him talk and share his story and you know how much of a champion for justice he is. And then I think I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Mel's episode. It has by far been our most popular episode.
It is our most popular
so
episode.
You got some lovers out there, Mel. Yeah. And it was just incredible, right? It was incredible learning and you know, also another great champion for justice and learning about, you know, kind of what she does and what a wonderful person she is. And then I think, I don't know if it's 5, but I'll end lastly with the Edgar Allan Poe episode. That was an interesting episode. That's another kind of behind the scenes. We were having an off day, off camera. Our communication wasn't great. We were tired, and I think that came through in the episode of like maybe me having more of a negative undertone and be like, fuck this guy. But I listened back to it and I stand on what I said. So I think even with, you know, that different mind perspective, I was still able to like share how I felt. And even though I wasn't feeling the best that day mentally, I still think it came across how it would have come across anyways.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And then, you know, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our community, right? And all the wonderful people who are part of it. I am going to be completely honest with you. We have 3 tiers. We have chocolate, cafe, and tequila, all prospectively higher in the latter as far as the monthly rate. And I didn't think we were going to get tequila members. I wow. Maybe one ever, and now we have a few, and it's, you know, I feel like, you know, I joked about earlier, like, oh, I don't have imposter syndrome. I don't think I have imposter syndrome, but sometimes I think I undervalue just what we do sometimes, and it does have an impact.
Yeah. I appreciate anyone who has ever pressed play once on our stuff, liked our stuff, but especially our Patreon members, because they really are what keeps the podcast going, from like the monthly energy exchange, also like being folks that I could share behind the scenes stuff with, and I know that like it is our safe community, and also for helping me be accountable and also push past like some of that imposter syndrome, some of that fear, because I was like, would people want to read horoscopes written by me? Would they be any good? And I'm getting messages like, oh my God, this resonated, or you predicted this thing. Not that I necessarily want to be like a magic 8-ball and predict things, but I'm glad that people are finding value in it. Also finding value in our community and our workshops, and people are like, this is so helpful. This has provided like a shift in perspective. And then our tequila members who are like, I'm going through this journey. I just kind of want like someone to check in with monthly to either keep me accountable or to know that I have that dedicated space to let it all out. So a big special thank you to our Patreon members.
And I also so I think it's easy to, and I don't, this is what I want. So I'm not trying to be like, Jen is better or I'm better. Most people who sign up for the tequila is because they want a reading with Jen, and they want the 15 minutes to be spent with a reading or a consultation. But I had my first consultation. Yeah. Somebody signed up for the tequila member to get my expertise in starting a podcast. Yeah. And that was fun. That was really cool. So I was like, I got a little taste of what you do, and it was incredible. I was so excited. I did like a bunch of like pre-work, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to this person about what they're doing. And, I definitely wish them well on their journey. But with that said, I think we've definitely reflected on the last 100 episodes. And I want to talk about maybe what's to come. But before that, since we were talking about our Patreon, do you want to do some of our comments first?
Yes, and I also appreciate everyone that leaves a comment either like in voice message form or in comment form. We love to know.
Or in person. I've noticed a lot of our comments are coming like in person, where we'll talk to somebody and they're like, oh, this is what I thought about the episode. And then we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, so I appreciate everyone that has let us know what they thought about the episodes. We did have some comments. We have 2 voice memo comments, and then we have 1 written comment. So I'll start with the written comment from the pinkhouse.merced on Instagram, who also helped us do some of the Stevie Nicks research. Alex, super awesome creative being, also talented astrologer. She said, I'm grateful that I found an inclusive gateway into the wonderful local community via you, David, and your podcast. I love the astro and magic that you all share. So thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you so much, Alex.
And we appreciate your magic and friendship as well.
Now, I talked about this at the beginning of the episode, but now I do want to talk about our first in-person meetup. So we did have a meetup for the Kythera Club.
At Hi-Fi Wine.
At Hi-Fi Wine, and it was wonderful.
Ordered this bottle.
Yes, we had people come out from the community, and it's beautiful having a digital platform where we can do workshops and we can do meetups and talk and have just like that close-knit community. But it's so wonderful once the meetups exit the group chat. Or what am I thinking?
Yeah, when they become IRL.
Yeah, when the meetups exit the group chat, and we were able to meet up in person with some of our wonderful community members, and we took the opportunity to record some voice notes. So the first one is the lovely Janet, and she was one of our guests. She talked about being a green witch, and so here's her comment.
Hey guys, this is Janet. I just want to give a big old congratulations to Jen and David on their 100th episode. I'm so proud of you guys, and you guys just continue to blow me away with your podcasts. They're always so informative, and I learn something new every time. So it really just opens up my perspective to the things that I want to look into myself. And knowing that you guys really do like a deep dive on it. So congratulations on your 100th episode. I can't wait to listen to it and be a part of it once again. And I love you guys forever and ever. And congratulations on your future endeavors as well.
Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. You are wonderful. You're, a very dear friend of ours, and we appreciate all the support. And, thank you for being on the podcast. You've come on here, and thank you so much for leaving us that wonderful voice note. Next, we have Mercy. She was a little nervous, but she did great. So I don't know why she was nervous. She was wonderful.
Hey, Jen and David. This is Mercy. I just wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes of Jen Explains. I am so, so proud of the both of you and how far you guys have come with this podcast and this business venture that you've embarked on. I am so proud and I'm so grateful to be a part of this community. And I just wanted to say I love you guys. I can't wait to see what's next, and I will be there every step of the way.
Thank you so much, Mercy. We appreciate you. And also a special shout out to Mercy because she signed up for like my beta test run of the Mirror workshop through the Patreon. I did it last February, and through running it with her and making a mirror together, it opened the door for us to do an in-person mirror workshop with Luna, and we sold out. We were at max capacity, so that was so amazing. So thank you, Mercy, for just your joyful energy on the Discord, and then also for just being a wonderful like crafting partner and showing up to the workshops, and also for coming to our in-person.
Yes.
Yeah.
again, a million thanks to our community. You all really mean a lot to us. I know I'm not as active in the chats, but it's just because I don't know a lot of what y'all are talking about, but I'm there in spirit. So thank you so much for your engagements. With the last couple of minutes we have left, like I mentioned, I want to talk about our future, and what a better way to know about our future than pulling some tarot cards.
Yes. And this is not rigged. So if we got like the tower or something, this is very real. Let me move the wine so I don't drop it. But yeah, I think since this is both of us, you should also shuffle it.
Okay. I will say this is our third episode today, so we stay busy here at Jen Explains. I mean, I feel great. I feel bad for you because this is the third episode you've recorded. We had two wonderful guests, but you know, we truck along for sure.
All right, let's see what the future of this podcast holds.
You said the tower's not good, right?
No, but we will make it good.
That is one thing that we talk about. It's like, let the cards fall where they fall.
All right, so we got the Queen of Cups, which is emotional fulfillment.
Okay.
Very on brand with our podcast, and also nurturing as well. So I think that our dedication to joy and community will continue with the podcast. So I love this for us.
What about education? Does that have anything to do with education?
I would say so, because it's like a creative energy, but also the queen energy is very much like either an educator or a matriarch or just somebody that can provide like guidance, but not in like the strict traditional way.
I see.
And then can you shuffle this and we'll pull an affirmation for the podcast.
All right, perfect. This deck actually has a very special place in my heart, because anytime Jen does an event and I'm just tabling for her, I always like pull the free affirmations for people, and that's the deck I use. So.
And we also bought this in San Luis Obispo.
Yes.
Which is David's hometown.
Yes.
So double special. Ooh. Wow. Sometimes like I surprise myself with the readings because they're so relevant.
Yes.
I am a creator.
Perfect.
Everything around me began as a thought. My clothes, my home, even the roads I drive on were once just thoughts. When I take the time to contemplate my surroundings, I grasp all of the thoughts that took place to create the world. Likewise, my thoughts have created things. My thoughts create my actions and therefore create my life as I know it. Therefore, I strive to think about my desires optimistically. I am a creator.
That is wonderful. That is perfect. And I am pouring just a little bit more so we can end our podcast on a cheers.
Yes.
So here's to another 100 episodes. And again, thank you so much to everyone who has supported us or been a part of our podcast and our community. It means the world to us. And I say that from the bottom of my heart.
Yes. Cheers to you, community, and cheers to Jen Explains and 100 more episodes.
Yay.
Woo!
And what's our final message?
Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye. Everyone.